Hey guys, this is Mike with Peter's Industry Training and Consulting. Today I want to talk about user-defined data types, or UDTs. Well, in our previous lessons we created a operating hours counter in several different languages and in several different ways. We used functions and we used function block. We talked about that, and to determine if everything counts, we created a data block. Here, the times data block 1, and then created for every single device. We created the seconds, the minutes, hours, and days, etc. And we repeated that over and over again for like 5 devices so far. Today, I want to show you how we can slim that out utilizing user-defined data types instead of writing out all of this all the time. So let's dive right in. So first of all, we gotta know what we need. So we need an integer for seconds, an integer for minutes, hours, and days, and then we want to utilize it for 5 different devices. So first of all, we go down here and then look for a point that is called PLC Data Types. If you click on that arrow, it asks you to add a new data type. Go ahead and do that. And then what it does is it basically opens, it kind of looks like a data block itself. So what we're going to do now, instead of writing device 1 seconds, we just write what we want to do, and that is seconds. Say, okay, that's not a bool, that's an integer. And then we go ahead and say we need minutes, hours, and days. So, and that is almost it. We created our first UDT, user-defined data type, and now we can utilize it in our function blocks and data blocks. So let's clean up the mess that we created the last couple of lessons. Instead of now saying, okay, we write that out like device 1 seconds, minute, blah blah blah. So we go ahead and delete all that. So go here and then press shift and press the last one, and then you mark everything, and then just go right click and say delete. So what we're gonna do now, the only thing we write down now is we added a new row and say, okay, we want device 1, device 2, device 3, device 4, and device 5. So, and then instead of making it an integer, we now say, okay, we want it to be our user-defined data type. In our case, we didn't give it really a name. It's just user data type 1, as you can see here. So we say user, and then it shows up here, user data type 1. Hit enter, and then same for the next ones. User And as you can see here, as soon as you hit enter, there's an arrow showing up, and when you click in here now, you can see our created data within that device 1. So that is that easy. It looks way better. It has the same amount of data in it, just not so messed up. The structure of the data block itself will be way shorter than it was before. So now we have to actually put it somewhere. So right now that's the data, but our function block's looking for something else yet. So what we're going to do is, like, we start with our our counter function block that we created in like some of the previous lessons, and then utilize our new data type. So instead of saying the output will be seconds, minutes, hours, days, as we created them in the previous lessons, we delete all that. Again, shift, delete, and we say, okay, we need device times out, and say we want to have it the user data type 1. And as you can see now, it's the very same data in here. The only thing we have to do now is we have to exchange the data that we utilized within the networks in the function block with the new ones. And that was only, in this case, it already underlined it red for you, so you can see, okay, something is missing here. And instead of saying just seconds, you go ahead and say, what was it, device times out, and then say seconds, and that's about it. Same here, device times out, minutes, device times out, hours, and the same for the days. Okay, hit save, and then go ahead and go in the next operating hours counter. So here the same, instead of using the outputs that we create here, we just say we mark everything, delete, and then go on the output and say devices times out. And like, you can, because that's an internal tag and not a global tag, like a local tag and not a global tag, you can call it the same as you called it in another function block, and then say again user data type 1. Okay, and we got to adjust that here. So instead of I seconds, we say, it's not that easy with the SCL, of course. Now you gotta like type it out. So go ahead and say devices times out, and then you have to do dot seconds, and then same here, times out dot seconds. And of course the same everywhere. So to make it easier, we could just like go ahead and copy this, copy, it should work. Wait, got the pound sign. Now it works. Okay, and then okay, go ahead here, copy everything including the pound sign, and then go ahead and paste it here. So, and then the same for minutes, times out dot minutes, copy everything, copy, paste, paste, paste. So now we got to do the same for the hours. times out dot hours, copy, paste it in, and the same for the days. Okay, that's about it. So we did that, but then we're not, like, we can't forget now where we called that function block. Let's save. It still feeds the function block with the wrong data, because we still, if you can see that here, for example, wait a second, we still fed it with like the single device. So as you can see here, now like the static area where we put in our operating hours data type, it's kind of pinkish here. So because we changed the function blocks data area, you gotta make a right click here and then update the interface, and this will go away then. So, and then what we're gonna do is we gotta assign the new data types to each other. We're not in need of these anymore. So what we can do is just like go like in front of the bracket here, mark everything, and then delete it. And as you can see here, if you now would like type something in like devices, nothing would happen. So you have to make sure if you change something in a block call in SCL, you got to delete the last comma and then type it out again. Maybe make an empty space and then comma, and then it will offer you the correct types that you want to assign. So in this case, it's about so we wanted to assign the, wait a second, why is that still I days, I hours, I minutes, I seconds? That can't be, because we don't want that. You go here and say update block call. So now device 5 is already selected because it was still there, and then it gives you the opportunity here to put in devices timeout. So you mark that and then just type in times the times data block that we created, and then because we know it's device 5, it's dot, and then just go to device 5 and you're done. Okay, so this is everything. Now it will work. Next is we also changed the older version, the ladder diagram, to new data types here. So we got to do that too wherever we called that block. And in this case we called the block here, and as you can see, the blocks are kind of pinkish again, and this is because we changed the data in the function block, and now this block call doesn't know what to do with it anymore. So just go ahead and delete all these and then say update block call. So, and it will tell you only like one data that you can assign now, and you want to assign whatever data is appropriate for that device. In this case it's device 1, so you go for device 1, and that's it. and now you got to do that for all the other block calls too. Delete all these, then update block call. Where is it? Here. Okay, times device 2. Well, normally if you start with user-defined data types in the first place, of course you don't have to do that. It shows you in the block call directly whatever data is an output or an input or whatever, and then you can just go ahead and assign everything. So that was device 3. One more time. Update the block call and assign the appropriate device. In this case, it was device 4. So it's that easy. So it's way less writing of code, way less assigning of data to each other. Once again, I said that in a previous lesson, a really good programmer is a lazy one. You want to write as little code as possible in order to get the best result and the most lean program, because like the more data types are called in a program, the more difficult is that for the CPU to handle that. Not in our case with this like few function blocks and data blocks and everything, but if you have programs with like, I don't know, like 500 function blocks and 250 of them are multi-instance function blocks, so they're called like multiple times, then this really makes a difference. So now I'll go ahead and save the project. Just make sure in your OB1 that everything is fine. Still, see here we have some kind of pinkish stuff, so go ahead and say update block call and it will go away. So this is basically it for user-defined data types. If you now go ahead and say, okay, I want to see if everything worked, just start a simulation. Put it on run. Oh, wait a second. PLC sim. There you go. So just load it in there. Load and start all. Finish. Okay, now while the CPU is in run, we can go ahead and go on our times data block again, say monitor, and don't worry, you don't see them like directly, you gotta open them and then you see the values. So device 1, nothing happens. Device 2, it's counting because it's active. Device 3 shouldn't count at all. Here we go. Device 4 should be active. It is. Device 5 also, and it is. So now let's wait like another 20 seconds to see if we count up to an hour, to a minute, and then we know if we're good, if everything works still like we want it to, but it should actually. Here we go. Okay, well, that's about it about user-defined data types. Let me know if you find that helpful in the comments, or tell me what you want to know about PLC programming in the first place. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and You can also visit our website at www.peters-industry-training.com. Okay guys, see you in the next video. Thank you.